Hello again, everybody. Dave Stevens here, and I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts at the 5th Annual Global Forum on Wheelchair Accessible Air Travel, brought to you by All Wheels Up. And that's the point of this global forum, is to bring together those great minds of the engineers and all those aerodynamic experts to talk to those of us in wheelchairs to see what our needs are for comfort and accessibility when transferring onto the airplanes.
It is every single person and every single organization that has come out for this event to be part of the conversation, whether it's the airlines, the OEMs, the airframers, the advocacy groups, and the wheelchair users themselves. Honestly, it is a collective effort, and that is the name of this event this year. It's Collaborate to Innovate, and it's going to take all of us.
Well, we aren't in an election year, so Michelle, are we better off than we were a year ago?
Listen, accessible air travel is a bipartisan. I'm going to kill you. Is a bipartisan issue, and honestly, every single day we are moving towards a wheelchair spot on airplanes. I can definitely say that.
Where do we stand about getting chairs like yours on planes without the issues?
So I think we're a couple years out. I think FAA is scheduled to complete their research September of 25, so a year from now. It will take us about a year to go through the rulemaking process, and then we'll have a rule in place that it's going to require them, and then it's just a matter of getting them on the airplane at that point. So however long that takes.
It doesn't happen overnight, and I think some people get frustrated, but we're getting there. But what's a realistic timetable to get something like this done?
So assume that someone's got a current project in place, and it'll take a couple years to work through all the regulatory requirements, the certification requirements to get that approved. But once they have approval for the installation, then you actually have to get it installed. So you think about just getting it installed, you all get installed in one aircraft, but there's many aircraft out there. So it's going to take time to kind of have that percolate throughout the fleet. And think about the average lifespan of a cabin interior of an aircraft being somewhere around 10 years. So it'll be at that changeover, the turnover. They'll constantly be working to refresh those cabins and get these installations in there. So it might be, many years before you have that ability to go point to point to point with enough aircraft in the fleet that would have this capability. At the same time, I'm talking about the structural issues. We're still working through a lot of the operational issues, such as who's ultimately responsible for ensuring the proper attachment, onboarding, deplaning, and all of those other issues.
And you're in DC so much, I'm shocked you don't have your mail sent there. I mean, you were always out there advocating, working with all the various organizations, meeting with politicians. So what's next for All Wheels Up?
Absolutely. That's what it takes, right? You always want to make sure you're top of mind, and it does mean frequent travel to DC. And, our organization is going to continue our push for a center of excellence for accessible air travel. We do believe that accessible air travel needs funding and a sustainable source of funding to make that happen.
How important is what Michelle's doing to the world of the disabled community?
Michelle is doing amazing work in this space. She is what we would call, trying to find a nice way of saying it, but an S-stir. We need that in this space. We have been too passive for too long, waiting for things to happen, hoping that it will happen naturally. And it's already been proven that that doesn't work. We need people who are activists in this space, who are constantly moving the needle. And I'm one of them inside the corporate space for Boeing. And Michelle is an incredible one, an incredible advocate for this space. And we need more Michelles, not less.
Is there a light at the end of the tunnel here?
Well, I think in terms of the advocacy around a wheelchair space in the cabin, we're much farther along this year than last and the year before. Lots of companies are starting to get engaged in this work. Delta Flight Products and Collins Aerospace both have unveiled innovative new solutions to secure wheelchairs in the aircraft cabin within the last year.
And we're all trying to work together, but what do you find some of the biggest obstacles are to get everybody on the same page?
I think it's just so many stakeholders and it's so complex. You have these two different industries that each are some of the more complex industries in and of their own. aviation and aerospace is really difficult to make anything happen. It's slow moving, and then you know how difficult the wheelchair industry is with innovation and all the different hurdles with Medicare. And so from my perspective, being able to understand the stakeholders in both parties and create a solution that actually works for each and isn't trying to just force each to comply. So think like, how do we actually get the wheelchairs certified and know that it is airworthy and meets the crash ratings? And how do we make sure that that wheelchair is something that is able to mount on the plane and be able to tie down properly and not have that disrupt the workflow of the boarding process? And that's something where I'm excited to see how we can support.
And I feel like it's almost just not a problem, but a communication issue. Saying, hey, we don't ask people to get on airplanes without their insulin pumps. We don't say, leave your eyeglasses at home. That machine that you need to breathe, that oxygen concentrator, yeah, don't take that. No, please take that, right? So I think people just need to learn to equate a wheelchair, which is a medically necessary physician prescribed device, with all those things. You can take your meds on your aircraft. You must take your meds on your aircraft. You must take your wheelchair, or at least aspects of your wheelchair seating, right? The pressure mapped seat for you to relieve pressure while you're in your chair. Okay, if you can't take the whole chair, can you at least take your seat so you don't develop pressure wounds? Can you at least take some sort of backing that allows you to be upright? Being upright is a big issue in people with high cervical injuries. Otherwise, they'll just slump over. You can't eat, you can't drink, and you can't look at people in the eye to communicate. So if you can just get people aligned in their chair comfortably and help them relieve the pressure while they're in that chair and stay aligned, that's going to be 2/3 of the battle.
I want to make it like travel just safer for so many different families and people, because my experience, like, it's the same situation with Michelle's family. Like, we haven't been on a family vacation in years, probably like a decade, and I don't want people growing up with disabilities to be like that. Like, there's so much we can contribute to the world, and travel really is a right that everyone has, and just so much of life requires you to be able to travel by airplane. Like, some people with disabilities were able to have, like, good life and do many things without traveling, but it just holds us back so much. And like, just because we have disabilities doesn't mean like that we don't have the same rights as everyone else.
How good does it feel personally to know that you're working on something that really is going to change generations for travel for the disabled world?
Well, it's really good because it really is an impactful statement. It's something to say, this is what I helped do. This is the people that I helped. Here's the generation of people who will now have access to these, to be able to fly and experience those things.
It's kind of sad to say, but I have empathy from my own personal experience of what other people are going through within the travel experience and their journey. To me, it is very painful for me to see that trauma happening to other people.
I think a lot of people just don't understand how fraught the accessible air travel experience is, and not really accessible. That's the problem. So, disabled people are facing a lot of challenges when they fly, not the least of which is damage to their mobility equipment. And we really see the wheelchair space in the cabin as the solution that can solve for a lot of the challenges that people are facing.
Unlike anything in our lives, we don't have to worry about going to the zoo and having our wheelchair break. We don't have to worry about going to Walmart and having our wheelchair break. But when we travel, we always have to think about the damage, and you're ending up writing prescriptions for chairs that are broken and stuff. So how do we fix that problem? Because a lot of people don't want to fly because they know that 50% of the time their wheelchair is going to get damaged.
Yeah, I mean, I think the airlines are our partners there. So the insurance companies are our partners in day-to-day, writing the wheelchair script. How do we talk about the words that matter to our partners? So I think we need to come to a mutual understanding about words that matter. So to insurance companies, it's danger, representing a safety issue. To me, it's improving function. To you, it's enabling my life, my occupation, my family, my travel, right? So yeah, I think we need a common language that we use with each other and understand, so that we can really know that our values are shared.
Is it feasible to get a wheelchair on airplanes? And we both testified, of course it is. It's not a matter of whether it's feasible. It's a matter of will, whether you want to or not. And so yesterday, to see all this coming together, see the FAA present their research, and then see the Delta seat and the other concept seats that are being developed and ready to go and put on airplanes, to see all this coming together at the same, and this conference and what Michelle has done has been such a big part of that, and all of you guys as well. I mean, all of your helping Michelle see her vision come true is really it's all very exciting and magical.
Like being in a world that's not accessible, that's, you know, much tougher than dealing with a disability. Because it's like life could be worse with a disability, but it's like if the world is accessible, like, you know, that's great for us. Like, then it makes living with a disability less harder.
Absolutely. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't want to make this happen. I think the industry as a whole, is always knocked for maybe, the mistakes that have happened. But, when you look at the individuals who are here, they definitely want to move that needle forward and make wheelchair access possible. And there's other things that we're going to start working on, but we're just going to actually have to have a post-meeting recap to, I think, see what that is.
Well, what you're doing is amazing. People are already reaching out to me on social media. I just had a friend, and I'm going to show you after this, that I didn't know about this. How can I get involved? I have difficulties traveling, and I think the outside world with people without disabilities don't know what our struggles are. So thank you so much for what you're doing. And if you want more information, well, you should visit allwheelsup.org. We are a nonprofit, and we really could use your help. And what would you like to see done in the next 10 years?
Well, of course, we want a wheelchair spot on airplanes, but first and foremost, we really need to raise awareness for the need. And so, follow us on social media and support National Accessible Air Travel Day. And
August 20th.
That's right, August 20th. Thank you very much, and keep supporting our work.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Continue to watch us and follow us on all social media platforms.
Thank you.
Accessible air travel.